Whoa, jingle! Happy time has just begun. Brother, sister, smart, dumb, fun. Yeah!
Look, you guys, we're a threesome.
Brothers, sisters. I'm bringing it to ya.
That's right. We got the brothers, sisters, and if you've noticed, we have crack entertainment expert Chip Moehle with us. That's right, crack. Chip Moehle is crack entertainment expert. So, what's up, you guys? Happy Sunday!
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
It occurred to me that we are not a little bit into June. We are well into June
It's
at this
frightening.
point, you guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I know.
Yes.
So
And I,
this year has been I just finished my 25th year of teaching. Good job, me.
Congratulations.
Fuck, I'm old. Anyway,
And patient.
and patient, yes. And we'll probably be dead in a year, but that's another story. Okay, anyway.
That's another podcast.
What was interesting about this year was that I have never had a year that was as fast as this one. This year went so fast. It was
Okay.
weird. It was like 1 minute was October, and the next minute I was packing up my room. I'm like, what the hell just happened? So I think there's actually some sort of rift in the space-time continuum, because I've always wanted to say that online, something about the space-time continuum, and there you go. So, oh, look, we have a visitor with us. It's Duncan Williams. Garlic fries on the way. What?
what?
Is Duncan bringing you garlic fries,
Wait.
Ann?
Do we all
Yeah.
get Dunkin' fries? Dunkin' fries?
Dunkin'
Garlic
fries. No, I get garlic fries because I've been good, Jenny. I've been so
Job.
fucking good.
So good, you get garlic fries.
Garlic
That should be a
fries.
thing. That should be
Yeah.
just a saying, just in general.
Yeah,
So
Exactly.
yeah. Yep. So
Mhm.
yeah, anyway, I believe time is actually warped somehow, and it's going faster than it's supposed to go.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Oof.
According to Duncan, no, we all don't get garlic fries, Chip. Sorry.
Oh, Duncan. He just
No.
went down the list.
Don't worry,
Oh.
I'll eat some for both of you.
Okay.
Thank you, Anne. Thanks for thinking of us.
You're welcome.
Yes. So here we are on a Sunday. It is June 8th-ish, because I don't know when you're going to be listening to this. So it's the 8th right now, but it could be the 12th or the 10th before you actually listen to this. So I don't know. I don't want to warp your space-time continuum. So the best thing I saw today when I was scrolling through my feed was somebody made a short where you have AI, Jean-Luc Picard, telling your mama jokes. So
I'm voting for him for president, man.
Oh,
absolutely. So if you need something fun, look up Jean-Luc Picard jokes, Yo Mama jokes, because it's fucking funny. Okay. You're welcome. So, yeah. Chip, how the heck are you?
I'm good. How about yourselves? I'm just happy. To be
Actually, I'm a
here.
little bit buzzed right now. I was telling these guys earlier that I might have gone out with my husband before the show to discuss his work stuff, and I might have had a couple of drinks and a sandwich while that was happening.
Just take the word might out of those sentences and you'll know exactly what happened.
Yes, I totally did that. I did that. So if there are some weird things that happen with the show today, it's my fault. My bad.
Sorry, not sorry.
So not sorry. I know. We went over to Louis Trophy House in Kalamazoo because not only did we have a $20 or $15 gift card from me winning at Music Bingo the other day, breaking my 44-year losing streak at bingo, but we also sold some bedroom furniture and used that towards our bar night. In fact, that was basically the criteria for setting our price was, hey, pay for bar night. So there you go. So there you go. So, Ann Brothers, what about you? How are you?
I'm good. I was busy today. Yesterday was my Christmas. I'll talk about that when we talk about our, smart, dumb, fun stuff. I am also having a tasty adult beverage, but this is my first one of the day, and I did not have one yesterday. So I'm finishing. I got gin when we were in Scotland, and now I'm drinking the last of my gin with a gin and tonic. I'm very sad.
A little lime in there.
I put because I had lemon left over. I made jam today, so I had lemon left over. So I'm like, I'll put lemon in it. Citrus is citrus, right?
Before you guys arrived at EMU, I had a friend who used to have gin and tonic parties. And the only thing they served were gin and tonic with limes and pistachios.
Oh.
Yeah, interesting.
That is fun.
Such a theater thing to do, but
I know
it feels
like
very theater.
It does. It feels, gin and tonic is very, it's like that sophisticated 50s.
Like we were so adult.
We were trying so hard. We're trying so hard to have experience. Trying so hard.
We almost pulled it off too, but not really.
Not really.
Yes.
So
yes, welcome everybody on a Sunday. We are talking about the docuseries from HBO. HBO, so it's HBO or HBO Max or just Max. I don't really know what to call them anymore.
I know they're back to Max, but
I know I'm just gonna go to HBO Max because I don't know what the fuck else to call it. Anyway,
just call them
Duh. Good. I like that because they're just confusing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They did a really great 2-part docuseries on Paul Reubens called Pee Wee Herman as himself. And if you're not familiar with Paul Reubens is the man who created the character Pee Wee Herman and delivered the character Pee Wee Herman to us for many years. Anyway. That's what we're talking about today. So we're going to get to all the good stuff today, but we're going to talk sort of an in-depth review of that and some questions. I think, Anne, you wrote 4 questions for us to answer when it comes to this documentary. And we haven't really talked, between the 3 of us, we have not talked about our thoughts on this at all yet. So I'm super curious to hear what both Anne and Chip think about this docuseries.
Very anxious to hear what you guys
because
think.
I had some thoughts about this. I mean, really big thoughts.
Okay.
And anyway, so let's get to it. So, Anne, would you like to give us the welcome back or would you like me to do the welcome back?
I'd be happy to, Jenny Brothers.
Fabulous. Do it.
Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Brother Sisters Smart Dumb Fun with Anne and Janice Brothers. Yes, we are sisters. Yes, our last name is Brothers, and we're back again. I know we keep taking weekends off, but now we're really back. So some things you should probably know about Jenny and I is that we are Generation X, as is Chip.
Yep.
Which means that everything in our lives had lead in it. Lead paint, lead in the gasoline. There's probably lead in the water. And I think it really helps other generations understand our brain dysfunction. Too much lead. So and I remember when they were trying to take lead out of gasoline and like the debates, I'm like, gas is going to be so much more expensive if we don't have lead in it. It's like, but your kids won't have lead poisoning.
Yeah. Yep.
They're not going to get any smarter. Yeah. So there you go. We have our podcast is about smart, dumb, fun, or any combination of the 3. And you've pretty much gotten that combination in the last, 8 minutes. Well, mostly dumb and fun, not as much smart, but hopefully we'll remedy that in a few minutes. We are not cool, hip, or sexy. I'm sorry about that. And we know that because Jenny and I spent yesterday pawing through other people's stuff and then eating hot dogs off the back of a minivan. So
yes, queen.
And it was legal. They didn't break in.
Exactly.
Nope.
So no, it's Jenny's minivan. So I mean, if that doesn't say not cool, not hip, not sexy, I don't know what does.
Everything you just said in that sentence was not cool. Jenny, hot dog, minivan, done.
Exactly. So now that you know what you're getting yourself into, we've been told we are good to listen to when you want to learn things about stuff.
Amen.
Chip said that. That was Chip. Chip said that. He's responsible for that quote. Yes.
Chip. And I also have, before we move on, I bought a book yesterday called Disappointing Affirmations, and I would like to read one to you very quickly. Here's a good one. Okay. Each new day is a gift you can't return for something that you really want. Brilliant.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of what I would want to return my day for right now. I've been dying for a Boston cream donut all day. Can I return this day for a Boston cream donut? Sweetwater specifically. So sounds really good right now. Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to buy a loaded donut, Sweetwater's is the place to get it.
Yep.
For real. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, because they're like the
Yeah.
size of your head, and they don't skimp on the inside. You know, it's like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They're
It's
thick.
it's America's favorite diabetes donut is what it
Mhm.
is. So
Yeah. If you want to, support us, you can do that for free. You can do it by following us, smashing the bell, writing a review, typing a review, texting a review, whatever it is that crazy kids do nowadays, but only a nice review because we're not going to read the bad ones. But if you say like, oh, they're so smart and articulate and I can't, stop listening to them, we'd love to hear that.
And tell us how fucking gorgeous we are.
Exactly.
Ah.
Exactly.
Buy us dinner too.
Okay,
Oh,
that would
yes.
be nice too.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. So you can follow us on all the major places where you listen to podcasts: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, some other ones I can't remember right now, and probably one that you use. I use Spotify. Chip, what do you use?
Apple.
Jenny, what do you use?
I'm an Amazon girl myself.
Yeah. Oh, YouTube. Duncan does YouTube and iHeartRadio. So, all those places. Oh, and you can ask Alexa or any of the other AI robots that are following everything that we buy and ask them to play us, and they'll do it. So, there you go.
Okay.
All right. So what we need to do next, Anne, we need to get ourselves on either Kick or Twitch, which means that people could watch us podcast. Because those are the two ones where those are the two big websites / apps where you go to watch people play video games.
I swear to God, Jenny, that those were apps where you were dating apps, for like one night stand hookups. I swear to God, Twitch, come on.
Absolutely.
No, so and if we do that, then people can watch us podcast. So
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I
so
want.
meta.
Yeah. Hello, stalkers.
They can watch. That's right. They can watch me click the different things to do on our podcast, and then they can critique us about it. Like, dude, did you see the way she went from the song to the show? That was toit.
And this isn't the one where they can be like, now say cowhead or something, and then you're like, cowhead.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. So there you go. Yeah.
Now smile to the left.
Left. Which, my left or your left?
Oh, boy, that just went bad. That just went downhill in a hurry.
Exactly. It's like
and anybody who's just listening to the podcast is like, what the hell?
What the hell are they
What the
doing?
fuck just happened?
I know. Not cool, hip, or sexy. Oh, Jenny just swore, so I want to remind you that this is not a GPG or PG-13 podcast. There will be some swearings. Besides, because we're going to be talking about fucking Pee Wee Herman today. So
now, I was told by one of my former high school friends that that's pretty much a ticket to hell by swearing that because I have a potty mouth.
Oh.
Ticket to hell.
Oh.
So,
well, I would take that with no grains of salt in any certain way at all.
Jenny,
I have a whole bus that's going to take me to hell. So you're welcome to join.
Exactly. I was like,
okay.
Who are we going to know in heaven? Come on.
Yeah. There's a lovely Fred Schneider song from the B-52s called Summer in Hell. Look it up. It's marvelous because he talks about that. And there's a woman in there. She's like, like when they told me I was going to hell, I thought, oh no. But then when I saw all the cool people down there, I was like, right on.
Exactly. It's like, I'm not going to know anybody in heaven. So there you go.
Excellent point. All right, good. So just a quick reminder. As Anne said, you can follow us, like, and subscribe to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. You can tell your friend Alexa to play us. And I'm pretty sure you could probably ask Siri to play us as well. Because as far as I know, if Alexa's going to do something, Siri's going to do it too. Because they're like that. They're like frenemies. So
I think they have FOMO for each other, so they're like fear of missing out.
It's like a little sister, big sister, like a little brother, big brother kind of thing. Like if the big brother's doing it, the little brother has to do it.
Exactly.
I see garlic fries.
There's garlic fries.
Garlic fries.
Garlic fries are in my future.
That's right.
Also,
so
if you like this episode, share it with your friends.
Yes, share it because did Doug just put a napkin on you? Adorbs. I just see this hand trying to put a napkin on my sister. I'm like, the fuck?
Okay, and now
Laura Livermore, how in the actual hell are you? I'm so glad that you are here with us. Yes, that is correct, Laura. Only I would want to talk about Pee Wee Herman. Laura, you're actually exactly who I want to listen to this show today. because this docuseries, and we're going to talk more about it, was really fascinating. And one of the questions that Anne asks, in terms of would you recommend that people watch this, and the short answer is yeah. And I will get to the long answer in a minute. This documentary was nothing like I thought it was going to be. It was completely different than what I thought it was going to be, and that's one of the reasons that I think everybody should watch this. So there you go. So Laura, great to hear from you. Glad you are with us. And yeah, I think you should totally watch this documentary. So with that said, now that we have pissed away the first 15 minutes, well, we're not quite ready to go on yet. Let's talk about the dumb, fun, smart stuff that we did this week. Chip, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, my stuff was fun. I went to and this goes a little bit past the week, but I went to my nephew's graduation ceremony, and it was fun to see all these kids, doing this thing and seeing my nephew actually enjoying himself as he was doing it. And I loved the kids all put stuff on their hats now, like little, and so he used that meme from SpongeBob SquarePants that says, a few moments later, but his said 1 eternity later. So that was a lot of fun. Awesome. And then I went to my friend JK's mother's birthday party last Sunday, and I was in charge of wrangling the dogs, which consists of two, Jasmine, who I've known for a long time. She's about 15, well-behaved. You don't have to have her on a leash. She's a dream. The other one is Carly. She's a puppy. She's still under a year old, and she's a Shih Tzu. Oh. So what I got to spend most of the time with her in my arms, just chilling out and having people walk by and want to pet Carly. So that was lovely. It was a lovely way to spend a party. I had a great time. And then I didn't put this on my list because I talk about it too much, but I'm going to talk about it. I got to see the Wicked 2 trailer on Wednesday night.
Already?
I was wanting to see it in the theater because they were showing Wicked, but nowhere in Michigan did they do that. Yeah. So I had to wait all day long. I kept refreshing YouTube, and they kept saying tonight, and I'm like, time tonight, Bertrand. But yeah, so I managed to project it on my television, and very, very happy with what I've seen. So
good.
I love it. That's fantastic. Yeah. I'm going to throw this up there because Laura Livermore said Mecca like a high, Mecca hi ho,
Mecca like a high, Mecca Johnny ho.
That's right. That was that was Jeannie on Pee Wee's Playhouse. So awesome, great reference drop, Laura. You're my hero. I love it. All right, good. Yeah, I love that, Chip. I love that a bazillion. So
me too.
There you go. Well, how was the trailer?
It was great. It was great, and I'm looking forward to it in any way. And it looks like they're actually deepening the second act to include a bunch of stuff that's not necessarily in the stage show. And I know there's 2 brand new songs that will be in it. And my understanding is Cynthia Erivo co-wrote one of them. So I'm really anxious. There's some great, as there is in the first act, there's some really great songs in the second act, and everybody gets one. So
I'm going to throw out some props to Cynthia Erivo real quick. She's in the first episode of the new season of Poker Face, which is on Peacock or NBC, and she's great in that. Great in that episode. She plays quadruplets in that, sisters in that, and it's really fun. I like that show anyway. It's a throwback to the old Columbo and mystery shows of the 80s, and yeah, Cynthia Erivo just chews up the scenery in that episode. It's a ton of fun. So
she's magic.
She is. And what you got for us for Smart Dumb Fun this week?
Oh my gosh, I had so much Smart Dumb Fun this week. We went to Duluth last weekend. That's why we had an encore presentation. And if you've never been to Duluth, Minnesota, on the shore of Lake Superior, I got to say you're missing out. Duluth is a fun town, and I'd been there once before. So, I was, Duncan. We were there for one of Duncan's nieces was getting married. She got married in an aquarium. Brilliant. I know, so brilliant. I got to touch a jellyfish, and I got to touch a sturgeon. So, it was super cool.
Sturgeon.
Oh my God!
Nice.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was fun. We had a great time because Duluth is a fun town, and the wedding was beautiful. What else? We went to the Normal Park neighborhood yard sales yesterday in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Always a blast. And I made Jenny buy a denim jacket. We got matching denim jackets that say Bride Tribe on the back. So dumb. I love it. Oh, and then I went out with my friend Dawn on Thursday. We went to this Asian market / sushi bar, and they had crane games, and I got 3 tokens. I won 3 times, people. 3 times at the crane game.
Fun fact. Fun fact about Ann Brothers. Ann Brothers is weirdly good at crane games. The games where you go and you have the claw that goes. Yeah, Ann is weirdly good at them. I'm like, her percentage of success at those games is ridiculously high. It's like I would say you're probably up above 50%.
Oh, way above that. I mean, I just
asinine.
It's like, I was like, oh, this must have been like really easy. And the ladies that work there was like, nobody ever wins these. I'm like, I won it 3 times. And I only played 3 times. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, if you want to learn the secrets of Ann Brothers' crane game success, you have to like, subscribe, hit the button, blah, 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 whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. And then also, I have, Jenny was saying yesterday, friends don't let friends plant mint. And if you've ever planted mint, it will take over your garden. Well, the same thing is true about rhubarb. Friends do not let friends plant rhubarb. So I just have a big pot of rhubarb. So I cut a bunch of it today. I made rhubarb strawberry jam. I made rhubarb strawberry crisp. It was great. So
everybody's getting rhubarb from my sister. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. So anyway, rhubarb's done for the year for me.
Yeah, and I was processing the Bride Tribe jacket that I was strong-armed into getting. And the truth is, and this is the hard truth for me, I let that happen. That was on me. That if I didn't want that jacket, I would have been like, I don't need that fucking jacket. But no, I have that jacket now, and it's my own fault. Okay? I chose that. Okay.
I saw that and I was like, Jenny, we have to have this. I'm like, Jenny, this is our brand. Smart, dumb, fun.
So the other thing that I processed last night was this. That one time I ended up, Tammy Peters, if you are listening to this, you'll know what I'm talking about because your 40th birthday, I got kidnapped by all the white people in Castle Rock, Colorado, and was forced to go to one of those places on a party bus with drinks. I was forced to go to a place where you learn how to pole and lap dance, like that cardio thing. And I thought this is going to be a nightmare. But then while I was drinking, I realized, nah, girl, you got to embrace this. And I did. And I embraced it, and it was fun. And I made a name for myself as not so much a good pole dancer. That was not great. But quite a talented lap dancer. Well, lap dancer in the sense that if you just try to do the dumbest shit ever and you turn yourself into Melissa McCarthy, you're going to be a fine lap dancer. Anyway, short story long, I can do the same thing with that bride jacket. So Brendan Ferguson, who was getting married in August, your cousins are going to have some sweet fucking jackets for that wedding.
Exactly.
Dre, watch your back. Okay?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, anyway, for me, the Smart Dumb Fun this week was school's out for summer. My last day of the work week was Thursday, so yay. I've been basically sober, I think, 1 out of the last 23 hours. That's not my fault. The problem is that our next door neighbor...
Your fault.
Yeah, the jacket was not my fault. Well, that was my fault. And so was me getting drunk last night. But here's the thing. So last night, our neighbor, Vanessa, graduated from MSU. So they had a big party and people kept bringing us beer and shots. And we did all of them in pina coladas. And so I'm a little bit hungover today. And then I might have gone out for dinner tonight and had another drink or two before we had the show.
I'm sorry.
So
that part. There was something was...
I think it's fine. So the other problem I'm having,
that gaming platform Twat. So people are going to see, so people are going to see you making.
The other thing that I've become addicted to, and I find myself, I've become a slave to AI baby things, AI baby videos. So I've posted on the picture. I don't know if you can see it here. I'll put it right here so you can see it. I'm addicted to those. And then I told one of my coworkers, Kelsey, this. So she keeps texting all the Instagram links to all of these AI baby memes. So this one is right here. It's a baby that's AI'd and is talking like he's Wilford Brimley talking about diabetes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We'll never grow old and we'll never die.
Yeah. And then so like it's babies doing Game of Thrones scenes. And then the one she sent me yesterday was from Schitt's Creek with Moira Rose and David trying to fold in the cheese. Fuck me. I think I watched that thing 8 times yesterday.
Oh,
I got to fold the cheese.
I would love to see a Moira Rose doing the fruit wine commercial, like a baby.
Oh my God. Now I got to look that up. And almost...
Oh, brilliant.
Herbert.
Yeah, so I haven't
finger.
Liquor. Yeah. So anyway, if you've never watched Schitt's Creek, if you can survive the first 3 episodes, because the first episode especially, the Roses are not likable, and you see this journey that they go through over the 6 seasons of Schitt's Creek. It's one of the best shows I've ever watched. It really is, but you have to get yourself to the episode where Moira does the commercial for the fruit wine, which is episode 6 of season 1. If you can get yourself there, you'll never stop watching because that is comedy fucking gold.
And
so.
Chris Elliott's very cringy, and they actually finally turn him down.
Yes,
that makes
a lot.
So
it does.
It's like the first season of Parks and Rec, which is super cringy. The first 5 episodes of Schitt's Creek are pretty cringy, but if you can get yourself to the fruit wine episode, it just gets better and better from there. So yeah,
it sure does.
Yeah, especially where they're folding the cheese. So
stop looking like a disgruntled pelican.
Dude, you do a good Moira Rose. Well done.
You do, man. That was brilliant.
You just fold the cheese. So.
Why do I have to tell you everything? Can you tell me one thing?
I loved when his boyfriend starts playing the Tina Turner song for him, and she turns to him and she goes, "I can pull the fire alarm if you like."
So awesome. Yeah. So okay. So all right. So can we get serious now? Can we serious it up, people? Let's get serious.
Yes.
Let's talk about this. The docuseries. It's a 2-part documentary. It's called Pee-wee as Himself, and it's on HBO Max, whatever the fuck they call it now. And I think it's time well spent. Anyway, let's get to it. So, Anne, you put together, I'm going to give a quick history. So it's a 2-part documentary. It's on HBO Max, whatever the fuck they call it now. It's produced and directed by Matt Wolf. And I got to tell you, I think this guy did a great job because not only did he give us a really great anthology of Paul Reubens and the Pee Wee Herman character, but he did it with Paul Reubens, who I would say was resistant to this.
At best.
He resisted.
Yes.
And we'll talk about why later, but I thought he really did an admirable job of putting this together when you consider the obstacle of Paul Reubens while he was trying to do this. So this documentary tells the story of Paul Reubens as a young artist and how he created the character Pee Wee Herman, the character's rise to fame, how Paul Reubens' life led to Pee Wee's fall from grace, and how Paul Reubens interacted, clashed, hated, and loved what he created, and how we as a culture loved and hated Pee Wee Herman, and how we punished Paul Reubens for himself and Pee Wee Herman. So, like I said, there's a lot to unpack in this, and I was not prepared for that, personally. I got more than I bargained for with this docuseries, that is for sure. So, Anne, you put together 5 questions that you wanted us to answer. Those questions were, what was your relationship to Pee Wee Herman? What surprised you? How did you feel after you finished? Why we don't understand the consequences of fame? And finally, would you recommend this? Why or why not? So... I didn't know if there's a particular order that we wanted to go. Do we want to tackle one question at a time where the 3 of us talk, or did we want to go through all 5 individually? Anne, Chip, your thoughts?
I guess I really wanted to start with what was your relationship to Pee Wee Herman? And I'd like each of us to answer this question separately because I think each of us have a different answer for this. So, Chip, why don't we start with you? What was your relationship to Pee Wee Herman at the time? Because he was a very important, iconic character for us in the 80s into the 90s. So, what was your relationship with Pee Wee Herman?
I loved Pee Wee Herman. I didn't come into Pee Wee Herman until Pee Wee's Big Adventure. And so the best way I can describe it is a lot of people will say the same thing about David Bowie. Like, he provided an entirely new thing that didn't have the same boundaries and borders that everybody else did. For me in the 80s, there were 3 people that did that, and that was Boy George, Madonna, and Pee Wee Herman. And so to see Pee Wee Herman be this joyful jerk who loved kitsch, who loved nostalgia, and was just, having a great old time, I absolutely responded to that. I'm looking at my notes. That's why I'm stopping. Because it was an entirely different thing. Like I said, like Boy George, it was an entirely different thing, and it was full of joy, and everybody seemed to kind of go along with it. I mean, that's one thing I really enjoy about Pee Wee is that Pee Wee exists and everybody else exists around him, and nobody goes, "Who's that weird little dude?" I loved doing the imitation of him. I loved the stupid shit that he would say. But I think I'm just going to say, in terms of watching this, I was so excited, and I actually had the day marked on my calendar, and I was so excited that day. Like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to get some food and I'm going to watch this thing. And then the day came and I thought, I can't watch this yet because he did mean a lot to me. And I knew that watching this would be kind of the end of that this would be kind of the funeral and the after party, if you will. So when you asked me to come do this, I was like, okay, well, now I got to sit down and watch this thing. And I'm so glad that I did. So I think that answers that question.
I think it does too. Jenny, what was your relationship to Pee Wee Herman?
I had no relationship with Pee Wee until 1986. I was babysitting our next door neighbor, Adam, with the Todds. And Adam was a big fan of the movie Pee Wee's Big Adventure, so much so that they had it on VHS. Yeah. And I was like, damn it. Adam's like, I really want to, can we watch this? Can we watch this? Can we watch this? I was like, dang it, fine. I'm like, there's Pringles and there's Coke in a bottle involved. So yes, I will sit here and watch this movie with you. And he didn't say a word throughout the entire thing. He just was, so transfixed. And he'd already seen this movie like 10 times. And he was just so transfixed on it. And I loved it. I giggled all the way through it. I'm like, what is this? I love this so much. Mm-hmm. And it was like instant fan. And then when I got to college, it became, I lived in the honors dorms with these bunch of nerds who turned out loved Pee Wee as much as I did. And so it became must-see TV for us on Saturdays. Like, we'd all get up together, regardless of our condition, hungover, still drunk, and we would watch Pee Wee and eat Pop-Tarts. And we did that, until, essentially 91. And I did this with 3 different groups of my dorm friends. And, it became this thing that brought us together, And, the last thing is that I think one of the things that brought this up for me while watching this docuseries was that I loved, here I was in 1986. I was the end of my freshman year at Sturgis High School, and I didn't tell anybody that I loved Pee Wee Herman because I felt like people wouldn't understand how much I loved this dude. And so I had every opportunity to watch that when I lived at home, and I purposely didn't watch it because I didn't want to have to answer to anybody for why I loved it, and I didn't understand why that was. It was like it was too weird, it was too avant-garde, it was too creative, and I was afraid that people wouldn't understand me and why I loved it so much, and so I avoided it. And what I loved about when I got to college, when I got to Eastern Michigan University, and I was around these people that loved it and were like, we want to watch this together. It made me so happy because for the first time, I could enjoy this without having to worry about somebody looking over my shoulder going, why are you watching this? Yeah. Because it was creative and interesting and funny. And it was a microcosm of what my life was like when I left the Sturge and got to go to Eastern. It was like somebody lifted a veil off my eyes about what life could be like for me. And I really loved that. And that's what this show did for me in its own special way. So that's my relationship with Pee Wee and Pee Wee's Big Adventure. So
very good.
And Pee Wee,
excellent.
Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
Very good. I was not a fan of Pee Wee Herman. I thought I was very eager when I was that age to be taken seriously, and to, like we talked about earlier before we started the show about, I wanted to be grown. I wanted to be seem experienced, and Pee Wee Herman seemed to be the opposite of what I wanted for myself. And though I didn't despise him or anything, and Jenny, I'm sorry you felt that way. I wouldn't have made fun of you because,
It wasn't so much you as it was Mom. And I hate to say that. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening to this, but it was like I didn't feel like I didn't feel like it was okay to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I understand that because I felt a lot like that when I was growing up. There was a lot of things that I was into that my mom didn't understand, and then would ridicule, so I just got used to it. I just got used to doing whatever I wanted and knowing that I couldn't make anybody happy. So I was just going to do what I wanted. But so though I didn't, I understood why people liked Pee Wee Herman. I just thought it was silly. And I didn't realize until I was much older his that character's value. And so at the time, I just kind of ignored it. I was just like, I'm not into Pee Wee Herman. Fine if other people are. It wasn't my thing. When I was a teenager and in my early 20s, it was just not my thing. So,
I wanted his life.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, so there we go. 3 perspectives. Chip, could you tell us what surprised you about this documentary?
Well, I think even though they used it as a selling point for the show, the fact that he came out, the fact that he was open about being gay, and I knew that going into it because, like I said, they used that as a promo to get you interested. I think I always knew that, and that's perhaps one of the reasons I identified with him so much, because it was at a time that being out was not great. So he could be out without being out. And but it was nice to hear that he, had this long-term relationship. What ultimately surprised me was that he had to shut that down in order to become Pee Wee and be successful. And he had to let that part of himself go. Makes me so sad. But what I loved was at the very end of the thing, I'm trying to find the quote now, was that, I'm sorry, I can't find that damn quote, but that he was in a relationship, that he was well loved when he passed away. And that really got to me. But yeah, his privacy and the fact that, certainly it was a matter of the times. If he had done Pee Wee, 15 years or more ago, it wouldn't have been an issue.
Right. True. That's an excellent point. True. Yeah, the 80s was not friendly for that by any stretch of the imagination.
No. I mean, we had the whole AIDS thing going on, and it just, you couldn't.
Yeah. For sure.
I mean, there's still plenty of in the closet. So.
Right.
Agreed.
Right.
So
Jenny, what surprised you about the documentary?
I would say just the overall tone. You don't.
Yeah.
The thing about this with Pee Wee Herman is that we knew Pee Wee Herman, but he spent the first, I don't even know how many years as Pee Wee Herman. We never knew Paul Reubens, and so it was really interesting to me getting to know Paul Reubens because I did not know him, and that's, I think, was the whole point of this docuseries, was that we learn who Paul Reubens was, and I was surprised by his talent, his creativity, and his drive. I mean, the man was so driven to be successful, to his detriment. And I thought it was really interesting where they talked about the fact that his jealousy of Tim Burton for the success of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and how when he did Big Top Pee-wee, how he wanted to take control of that movie and make it his, and in doing so made a bad movie. It was a bad movie.
Bad movie.
And I thought it really spoke to how easy it is, especially when you're a creative type, to let your own drive and your own vision ruin the art in order to, instead of using that collaborative, like by collaborating with Tim Burton, they made this fabulous, iconic movie. And when he decided that he no longer wanted to collaborate, what that did to his art. And I think that speaks a lot to to how important it is that collaboration can be this really even if you're trying to establish yourself as an artist, how positive collaboration can be when it comes to creating the whole. And I think that was something that really surprised me about this, was learning how driven he was, and how sometimes in that drive he would cast people aside in order to see that through. And I get that, because sometimes that's what you do when you're trying to be successful, and it's also super sad to me as well.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it before, when you talked about those consequences of fame. So anyway, that's what surprised me.
Right. I guess what surprised me was that the process of developing Pee Wee Herman was not only about Paul Reubens. When we experienced Pee Wee Herman, it was as a fully formed character. And watching this documentary, I learned so much about the groundlings and how Pee Wee was built not just by Paul Reubens, but a whole group of people, of creative, insightful people. So he may have developed Pee Wee Herman, but the world of Pee Wee Herman was created by many, many people. And that and it goes back to the collaboration you were talking about, Jenny. So though this was in him, this character was in him, he needed literally a village of other people and creative minds to really fully form this character and fully form this world. And then I was also really surprised in the documentary of not just how jealous Paul Reubens could be of other people, but of Pee Wee himself, about how Pee Wee was getting a star on the Walk of Fame, how Pee Wee was getting full credit for this movie. And it's like he was literally so resentful sometimes of this character he created, and how not only the character's fame, but how so the character stifled his own life. And I was like, that was profoundly interesting. And then also, I'm sorry, one thing that really, I was like, why don't we do cool stuff like this anymore? Why are we watching people play video games? Why are you watching us do this, people? It's like, this
AI babies.
Yeah, I was like, this subversive, hilarious, multi-dimensional world of this character. I was like, where is that now? Am I missing it? Or is it just not there? I was like, so that was the other thing. I was like, what happened to us? How did we get so lame?
TikTok,
would Pee Wee Herman be able to exist now? Would we? Can we?
Absolutely not. No.
Can we? No. Yeah. So that was the other thing, was like, here was a time and a place where all these brilliant creative people got together in spaces and created amazing art. And Pee Wee Herman was just one of the things that got created out of that, those time and place and people. And I was like, are they still around? Do we still have that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Are we just going to keep making Batman movies?
We do, but it's in a weird way. Like you said, TikTok, like anything in social media is a made up character. These people will present themselves as real people, but if you were to meet them in real life, most of what they're presenting to you is a character.
It's a character, but it's not a very good one.
It's not funny. It's usually somebody who's working out or trying on makeup or showing you their clothes.
Makeup. Yeah.
And it's like,
so anyway, so I thought this documentary was remarkable. How did you feel after you finished the documentary? I mean, how did you feel? Chip, you talked about this being a kind of like a funeral.
Yeah, I was very misty when it ended, because I really loved him and I missed him. But because of the Pee Wee character, he always will be with us. Mm-hmm. And I did find that quote. It said, in the last months of his life, he was in a loving relationship. And that gave me some relief. What is our last question?
How do you feel about
our last question is,
how do you feel?
Okay, so let me, I'm sorry. Because I written willy-nilly stuff down. So I just want to read the last bit of the film when it's just a phone call and he sounds so weak. And he says, I wanted somehow for people to understand that my whole career, everything I did and wrote was based in love and my desire to entertain and bring glee and creativity to young people and to everyone. And I thought that is exactly what I took from Pee-wee. And I thought, I'm so glad that I got it,
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, definitely, as it was ending, I was like, no.
Yeah.
So Jenny, how did you feel when the documentary finished?
I wrote down gutted, inspired, cautious, nostalgic, and sad.
Yeah.
And glad that I got to experience the genius of Paul Reubens as he was geniusing.
Absolutely.
What you said earlier, Chip, about the joy. That's what when I was sitting there with Adam, who I think was what? Let me think. It was like 2 or 3 at the time that we were sitting there. I want to say 3 or 4, but when we were sitting there watching this movie, and I loved the fact. But I went home that night, as a 15-year-old, and I loved the fact that I felt such joy and happiness after watching this movie. And I love the fact that Adam found, here we are, ages apart. I'm a teenager. He's just a little tiny guy. And like, we both found something that we could love in this movie. And I'm like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
And, anytime you see, when the, the veil is revealed when it comes to somebody that is that creative and that special, to see the darkness that seems to go hand in hand with a lot of really, especially people that bring joy and fun and, and humor, that they have this other side that is really troublesome. And it's like, I get that. I get what it's like to be on both sides of that. It's like this price you pay for delivering that. It's weird. I thought, that phone call at the end where, he literally is on this phone saying those things, Chip, the day before he died. And I thought that was really interesting. He wanted so badly for people to know his story, and he wanted so badly to control his story, even to the day he died.
Yes.
And I think, it reminded me of that that song in Hamilton where they're like, who lives, who dies, who tells your story. And that really is ultimately what he wanted people to understand him, and he wanted to be able to tell his own story. And that's why I thought it was really interesting. He was very resistant to the filmmaker because he did not trust the man that was directing this film to tell his story as he felt it should be told. And, he ghosted the director for a year, which I thought was fascinating. I'm like, dude, because he was so afraid of not being able to tell the story as he felt it should be told.
Well, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think after what was done to him previously in the press,
exactly,
how would you have any trust for anybody to tell your story?
Ever. He would never trust. And that came through loud and clear. And, early in the docuseries, you see his resistance. And it's not until the last half of the second part of the series that it is revealed as to why he is so distrustful. Because he became this super easy target. And, so I would say in terms of how I felt, the big emotion for me was that I just felt gutted by watching this. And that hurt my feelings. It did.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anne?
Well, asking this question, of course, leads me to my next question, but I'll answer this question. How did I feel? As a person who was not a huge Pee Wee Herman fan, what I felt after this movie was that I was a huge fan of Paul Reubens. Huge fan by the time this movie was done. I was like, think this man is amazing. I love his I want to go to the Paul Reubens Museum and see all of his collections. I loved the gardens that he built. I loved the long relationships that he fostered with people. I loved his pettiness. I loved his creativity. I loved his ego. I was like, I loved this man. By the time I was done, I was like, now I know why I enjoy him so many other things, because he was just, I felt Pee Wee Herman was entertaining and one-dimensional, and I thought Paul Reubens was dynamic, and I wish we had known him better before he died. I wish this man could have done, if fostered better by us as a culture, he would have made us better as a culture.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that was one of the things I thought it was interesting, was that, in leading to your next question, understanding the consequences of fame, sometimes I feel like, with with his arrest in Florida, that was like the beginning of him killing Pee Wee Herman so that we could find this whole other Paul Reubens. Because we look at the things that he did after Pee Wee Herman, they're just great,
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like, that line from, I'm sorry, I speak only in pop culture most of the time. It's the line from Game of Thrones where Aemon, Maester Aemon tells Jon to kill the boy so that the man can step forward. And sometimes I feel like that's what he did. Paul Reubens killed Pee Wee Herman in order to get to this next level of performance that we see after his arrest and after Pee Wee Herman sort of, runs its course. We get to see, all this other great stuff that Paul Reubens does. So, yeah.
Anybody that can have a cat for like 19 years is a good person.
Right.
Agreed.
It's such an adorable cat.
Yeah.
So cute.
So, yeah. So, I kept going back and forth. I'm like, we've seen tons of the biopics, and we were, the fame is the best thing we can have. That's the ultimate goal, is to be famous. And then we watch person after person after person get trashed by fame. And why don't we understand fame? Why don't we understand? Why are we still fooled by it? I don't know. What is your hypothesis? Why are we still fooled? Why do we still not understand the consequences of fame?
I think it's twofold. I think it's because we don't understand that people are people, regardless of what their profession is. I think also we have the Hollywood machine that, much like social media now, only allows you to see bits and pieces. And certainly back then, you really only saw what the studios and the agents and the managers wanted you to see. People are people. They do the things that people do. They have desires, they have interests, they have kinks, they have whatever. And the moment we forget that and go into the blame game and dislike simply that person for being human, I think of Hugh Grant, with the transvestite hooker, and George Michael. None of what these people did was really a crime. Nobody was hurt. It's just because it's all around sexuality, we have to shame people, and we have to make people feel terrible about it, and they need to pay. So, a lot of times that we lose a celebrity because of this is because of that, either drinking, drugs, or sex. That's life. These things happen in life. And we're lucky when these people come back from it. I do agree with you, Jenny. I think to a big extent, it was him killing Pee Wee in a way. I'd seen they do this thing every year in Los Angeles called the Paley Festival, and they'll do like a salute to a TV show, and they show you a couple episodes and they bring the cast out. And I went to this salute to Pee Wee's Playhouse, and it was so funny listening to him, because it sounded like he really hated doing the Playhouse. Like, he was like, near the end, I was just like, I would come in and be like, do something with the puppets. I'm going to go away for a while. And, and I got his autograph afterwards, and it's terrible. I'll say I bought into some of this shit. The whole pedophile thing freaked me out because I love this man so much. But then once you learn that really all he had was gay erotica, big fucking deal, you know?
Yeah.
That they tried to kill him, quote unquote, kill him, simply for having in his possession pictures of naked people, which in this day and age, everybody has. Certainly if you're on social media, that's how most of the people are making their living. I mean, that they wanted him out so badly that they would do this to him.
Right.
But I remember when I saw him autographed, there was a little girl who came up and he got down on his knees and he was like, "Hi, how are you?" And he made her feel very special. Like she was the only one in the room. And I remember thinking, I love that. And also, ew. Now, of course, having learned the facts many years ago of what that was, I released that. But, even I was susceptible to falling for that shit.
It's because, like you said earlier, the media will have you believe what they want you to believe.
Exactly.
They'll frame it however. I think we don't understand the consequences of fame because we're not famous. Most of us never achieve any level of fame. And so as a result of that, we're not famous. How can you understand something that you're never really going to put your arms around? And I think part of it is that people don't understand the luxury of privacy. You and I grew up in a small town. We had no privacy when we were kids. That was one of the things I loved about going to my first weekend at Eastern was one of the best weekends of my life because for the first time in my life, I got to go and do whatever the fuck I wanted to do. And nobody knew, oh, look, there's Jenny. She's not going to church. Or there's Jenny. She's not doing this. It's like I got to be anonymous and I fucking loved it. And I think people think they want to be famous because they want the stuff that goes with it. But that privacy that we are so accustomed to, the privacy of anonymity that we are so accustomed to and is so comforting disappears. And we don't know that it's comforting until you lose it. And that's one of the things we don't understand about fame is that you are trading that peace and that anonymity for whatever fame brings. Money, power, I don't even know what that is because again, we're not famous. So I think it's one of those things where you have to try and empathize with somebody that literally is followed 24/7. What that is like, that you can't do anything without somebody documenting it. That's got to be a nightmare. So now, that's now. Imagine what his life would be like. If all of this had gone down right now where everybody has a phone and everybody's taking video and there's cameras literally fucking everywhere. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anne, what do you think? What do you think
I think we think that fame means we own you and that the things we own, we don't treat very well. So we think because you have fame and notoriety and we listen to what you say and we want to be like you, we want your wealth, your power, your influence, we own you. And therefore we have the right to break you. And I think it's, like you said, Chip, we're all susceptible to thinking that we have a right to be disappointed in somebody we don't know behaving in a way we think we understand. And so I think there's very much fame comes, and I don't think people understand that fame comes with proprietorship. And the proprietorship, you don't own us, we own you, and we will treat you badly because that's what we do. We treat things like shit. We can't have nice things.
This is why we can't have nice things.
This is why we can't have nice things. So I'm like, if you don't know that we will try to, we as our, will cheerfully murder you because you are ours to do with as we want, because you are famous. Then I think if you don't walk into fame knowing that, it will destroy you.
Well, and just the whole, my God, he's a children's entertainer. He's not allowed to have sexuality because of that. It's just
exactly.
It's ridiculous,
It is.
Chip.
It is. It is.
Again. Children.
It's for the children.
It's for
all right.
Children.
Yes, we're running out of time.
We are quickly coming up on the hour. Chip, Would you recommend this documentary?
I would absolutely recommend this documentary, whether you're a fan of Pee-wee or Paul Reubens or both. See it. I kind of wish they had titled it Pee-wee as Paul Reubens, as opposed to Pee-wee as himself. It's delightful to watch because it brings back memories, but it's also funny to watch him kind of fuck around with the director a little bit. I really enjoyed that. It's frustrating, but I love how the director was like, "Stay with me. Can you just stay with me for a minute?"
He's like, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And yes, no, maybe.
Definitely yes. And I was not a fan of Pee Wee Herman. You know, I was interested in this documentary. I thought, oh, this is going to be fascinating. But yes, as if you are, we're never.
Oh, Anne, you with us?
Uh-oh, frozen.
She's frozen. All right, Anne, you're frozen. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and just say this. I would recommend this documentary unless you are a fan of Pee Wee Herman and you are so nostalgic and you're not interested in Paul Reubens, you just want Pee Wee Herman's world that he created, then don't watch this documentary because your view of his world won't be the same after this. So just keep that in mind. So, but ultimately, if this was something that you caught your eye or you were interested in, you should watch it. If you were not a big fan of Pee Wee, you should watch it anyway because you might learn something. Huzzah!
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and not just about him, about fame and all of the trappings in general.
Correct. That is correct. So it looks like we have lost Anne. So Chip, we're going to have to bring it home together, bro.
All right.
So,
all right. Get to be a brother and sister.
You are officially, you are our brother by another mother. Well done. So real quick, if you are interested in other, and I would say, if you're interested in Pee Wee Herman, then your starter kit is Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the movie directed by, yes, Anne has lost internet connection. That's okay. She just texted me.
Okay.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You should start with that. Great movie. So great. It hits all the pop culture bubbles. Pee-wee's Playhouse. Skip Big Top Pee-wee, which is the movie that came out 2 years after, about 2 years after. It's not good.
No.
Damn it, Pee-wee.
It's got Chris Christopherson in it. I mean, right, this. Ugh.
It is. It's just not good. It jumped the shark, if you will. Pee-wee's Playhouse, which is, again, if you want to know Pee Wee Herman, those are the two things you should watch. Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Pee-wee's Playhouse. Pee-wee's Playhouse is groundbreaking television. Christmas. Oh, look, Anne's back. I'm bringing her back in.
Well, and I'm sorry. I lost internet connection, so now I'm on my phone.
Okay.
I'm going to throw in there with the Pee-wee's Playhouse, the original, the Pee Wee Herman show that he did at the Roxy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, Pee-wee's Christmas at Pee-wee's, which is again fucking great. Yes. Anybody in the 80s is in that. Literally anybody that's anybody is in that. You have to watch that.
Yes.
Murphy Brown season 6 through 9, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was one of those movies the film Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was one of those movies that you're like, this is going to suck. And then it was amazing. And he is especially amazing in that. Matilda, Blow, again, shockingly good in the movie Blow. Cocaine Bear, 30 Rock season 1, The Baby Show, fuck me, that is just one of the best episodes ever.
Well, I love that you published this because I didn't know he was in Matilda. I did not know he was in Cocaine Bear. I was just going to add in the second Tim Burton Batman, he and the woman who played Simone in Pee-wee's Big Adventure play the Penguin's parents.
That's right.
It's just a cameo.
That's
and
right.
Also, he was in The Nightmare Before Christmas. He has a voiceover in that. And
That's right. I forgot about that too.
A TV show. He was they did a You Don't Know Jack game show for television, and he was the presenter. And he played kind of a irritating asshole, host.
That's awesome. Yes, and just so you know, Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Pee-wee's Playhouse are currently running on HBO Max, so you can go see that and the world he created. I had forgotten about Penny. The little short. God, Penny was my favorite part of Pee-wee's Playhouse. Yeah, Penny is basically an annoying tweener who just says the greatest stuff.
Yes. I know.
Yeah, and just has these random thoughts and activities. So yeah, Penny's my favorite. Yes, so those are ways that you can get to know both Pee Wee Herman and Paul Reubens if you're interested. There you go. You did it. You
Yay.
survived another hour plus of the Brother Sister Smart Dumb Fun. So well done. And just remember, you guys, we want to know what you thought about the show. We want to know your thoughts about Pee-wee's Big Adventure. We want to know if you saw this documentary. Answer our poll questions. Leave us a critique. Joe Vieta, you are our most consistent giving us feedback. Please continue to do so. We love you, man. Cousin Joe, Takayo. So there you go. Please give us your questions, concerns, comments, and confessions. That's right. We want all of it. Remember, you can support us by going to the Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Click like, smash that button, do all the things that you're supposed to do. Ring the bell, share us, because sharing is caring. That's right, all those things. Get down tonight with the Brother Sisters, and join us next week. I know we're like documentary crazy right now, and we're not sorry. Next week, we're going to talk about the Titan Ocean Gate documentary called Implosion, also on HBO Max. It is we are coming up on the 2-year anniversary of the Ocean Gate Titan disaster, when that little submersible went down and imploded. And we all watched with bated breath for 6 days as they were trying to figure out if they were still alive, if they were dead, whatever. So HBO with the Discovery Channel did about a 90-minute documentary on this as they followed the investigative team as they're trying to figure out what's going on. So we're going to talk about not just the documentary, but we're going to talk about, as we come up on the 2nd-year anniversary, what it was about all of this that we couldn't stop watching, the submersible itself, why it was different. We'll talk a little bit about Stockton Rush, the brains and the lack of brains behind a carbon fiber submersible, but we'll get to that next week. Anyway,
can't wait.
There you go.
I want to hear that.
No, you can't wait. You can absolutely not wait. Until then, I'm Janice Brothers, and with me is my sister Ann Brothers and crack entertainment expert Chip Moehle.
Ahoy, hoy. Chip Moehle.
Ahoy, hoy. Yeah, I think Ann froze again. Look at her. She's like in frozen wave position.
She looks like Mona Lisa.
She does indeed.
I'm back now. I got to get off this.
You got to get off this. Hey, Ann, go eat your garlic fries for fuck's sake, all right? So, Chip Moehle, always great to see you. Chip, do you want to get in with us when we do our review of the movie 28 Years Later?
No, I don't know if I can sit through it. It might be too
That's
scary.
That's fair. Yeah, because the first two movies
seen the
were
other
epic
two
scary.
Yeah.
So, all right.
It's glorious.
It's super gory. Yeah, it will be bloody. It will be gory.
Not. Maybe I'll listen to your podcast instead.
I love that. All right, you guys. Have a great week. We are out of here. Peace out.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Chip.
Bye.